Forget the bottled stuff. You need yummy, delicious, thick and creamy steakhouse style homemade ranch dressing. There's really nothing like it. Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make a steakhouse style ranch dressing. So, if you're anything like me, I don't really like bottled ranch. There's just something gooky and just wrong about ranch dressing. But if you've ever had steakhouse style ranch dressing, well, that is a completely different ballgame. By making it ourselves, we add all of these delicious flavors. We control exactly what goes into our dressing, and it's thick and rich and creamy and not at all gooky, and it is just remarkably delicious. You're gonna love it. So I'm super excited to teach you how to make it. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need equal parts of sour cream, mayonnaise, and buttermilk. So I am using a 32-ounce mason jar. So that is going to equal to about 1 1/3 cups of each of these, but that will vary depending on the size of the mason jar you will use. Now, keep in mind that the next ingredients are all based on that 32-ounce mason jar. So you will also need 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon cayenne pepper, 2 cloves of garlic, and 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. Now, of course, you can adjust these accordingly if you're using a smaller sized mason jar. You will also need a mason jar. I recommend a 32-ounce wide mouth mason jar, a couple of spoons, some measuring spoons, and I'm going to be using this garlic press and a knife to help myself with the garlic cloves, but you can, of course, just mince the garlic finely on a cutting board with a knife. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is press your garlic cloves. Of course, you can mince this finely instead. That's totally fine, but I find this little tool super handy. So I'm going to press my garlic and I'm going to set it aside. Then I'm going to grab my sour cream, and of course, I'm going to bring over my mason jar. And you see, I'm going to put 1/3 of 3 different ingredients. So I'm not actually going to measure. I am just going to use a spoon, start with my sour cream, and I'm going to fill my jar about 1/3 full. This does not have to be perfectly precise. I just take a look at it, looks like about 1/3, I'm good to go. Then once the sour cream is in, then I'm going to repeat the same process, and I'm going to use mayonnaise this time. And I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to grab my spoon and I'm going to spoon the mayonnaise right over the sour cream, and I'm going to create my second layer and fill the jar about another 1/3 up. So we're about 2/3 full right now. So once the mayonnaise is in, then finally I'm going to grab my buttermilk, and of course I like to shake it real well because buttermilk does tend to separate a bit, so make sure you give your bottle a really good shake. Then all you're going to do is open it up, and then you're going to pour the buttermilk right on top of that mayonnaise layer. You're just going to create another layer on top, and this is our final 1/3. So at this point, our jar is pretty much full, and as you see, we have our sour cream, our mayonnaise, and then on top our layer of buttermilk. So now all I'm doing is I'm adding my salt, and remember, these ingredients are based on the size of this mason jar. And then I'm going to add my ground black pepper, and then right on top of that, I am going to add a little touch of cayenne pepper. This is not going to make this spicy at all. It's just a tiny little touch, and all it does is really add flavor. So do not fear it and do not skip it. And of course, I'm going to add my garlic. So I have this nicely minced up fine, and I'm just going to add it all right in. And then finally, I'm going to drizzle in my white vinegar. This could not be any easier. Everything in the mason jar, all of my ingredients are in, and then all that's left to do is grab a spoon and stir it all together. It is going to combine to make the creamiest, thickest, most delicious, flavorful ranch dressing you have ever tried. It's going to be nothing like the stuff you can buy in a jar because it is fresh, homemade, with that delicious garlic, that touch of vinegar, those spices that we've added. And look at how beautiful it looks. It's thick, it's creamy, and it's indulgent. And it was so quick and easy to put together. And I promise you, once you try homemade ranch dressing, this steakhouse style homemade ranch dressing, you will never want the bottled stuff again. It is worth the effort. It takes 5 minutes to put together, and it is so thick and creamy and delicious, and you can serve it with anything, with vegetables, a little crudité, or over some lettuce with your salad, with whatever. You can dip your French fries in it. You can eat this with whatever you want as a dip, with chips. It is just so good, and you're going to want to make this stuff all of the time. So I'm going to serve myself a little bit on my plate, and then I'm going to grab a carrot stick and I'm going to try this guy out. It's thick and creamy and my mouth is watering. I just can't wait. So delicious. It's perfect. I actually can say I love ranch when I make it this way. It's just perfectly creamy. It's just incredible. Delicious. You're going to want to try this. Super yummy. I cannot get enough. Super tasty. So how perfectly yummy does this steakhouse style ranch dressing look? It's creamy, it's delicious, it's not at all gooky. It's just perfect. I don't know what it is about the bottle stuff that just does not work for me, but this homemade ranch dressing is perfect, whether you use it on some salad, with some crudité, just putting it on anything. I actually love it with a piece of crusty bread. As you know, I make homemade sourdough, I make homemade artisan bread, and a little bit of that dressing, and just swoop it up with a little bit of that crusty bread, and it is perfectly delicious and indulgent. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try to make this recipe yourself. And if you haven't done so already, remember to subscribe to my channel and to touch that little notification bell so that you get notified every time I put up a delicious recipe. My recipes are super varied. You'll find all kinds of stuff. I love to cover international recipes and sometimes quick and easy recipes like this one. So definitely check it out. And of course, go over to my video tab, because underneath that tab, I have so many videos up already, and I know you're going to find a lot of things that you are going to love. And if you're not already following me on social media, you can follow me as Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can find me as Sally That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. See you next time. Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.